Welcome to the All New Marvel Roundup, the Southgate Media Group guide to the Marvel Comics of the week. As always, I am Phil, and with me is...
Charlie, yes sir.
Alright, let's dive into this big week, Charlie. Big week. I'll start with All New Hawkeye number 2. Let's see. It begins 30 years from now. It begins. Kate and Clint are, I was going to say guests, I guess, but prisoners of the Mandarin. And basically, Mandarin's telling them, you have like a minute to convince me why I shouldn't hang you. And Kate's basically telling him, well, Shield has something funky going on. They basically sold us out, and Shield framed you for massacring your own people, so, we can help you with that. And then they show that, remember the 3 little mutated kids with the psychic abilities? Well, they're grown up now, I guess, and Mandarin has one of them. But, yeah, then back in the present, Clint and Kate are still fighting, and he's trying to call her, she won't answer. And then back in the future, basically, Mandarin, well, the telepath he has is basically seems like he's a vegetable, but Mandarin's not having it. He's about to kill them until Kate calls in her secret weapon, Marvel Boy. Yeah, I guess, I don't know if they had a thing or what, but yeah, so he comes crashing through the roof of the Mandarin stronghold, but then back in the present, Kate's talking to what is her name? America Chavez. So she, they're all talking about how Kate doesn't need Clint, and she's like, sometimes I feel responsible for him, and America's like, well, he's a grown ass man, he doesn't need you to take care of him, and so they decide to go dancing. But back in the future, Kate and Clint escape with Marvel Boy's help, and Kate's like, can you keep up, old man? You've lost the step since you were my sidekick. And Clint's like, wait. He's like, you were my sidekick. And she was like, I was a lot of things. I was never a sidekick. And so they show a couple flashes from the present, but in the future, Clint's like, what are we gonna do now? And Kate's like, now. She's like, now we do what we should have done 30 years ago, Clint. We're going to take down Shield. My next one is also number 2, Black Knight number 2. Basically starts off with the Black Knight. He has a bunch of dragons that shoot electricity attacking the Uncanny Avengers. He's just saying the Avengers, it really took them something to get here, so they must really be looking for trouble. And he's like, there's Steve Rogers, there's Rogue, Dr. Voodoo. Then he sees Synapse. He's like, some newbie I've never seen, the Human Torch and Quicksilver. And he's like, they let freaking Deadpool join the team, and I'm supposed to be the bad guy. as Deadpool's shooting a Uzi or something at the dragons and saying, anyone know how to say "Don't tase me, bro" in Dragon? But Rogue finally takes out the dragons by touching them and I guess taking their electrical build. But then I guess they do a flashback. They show months ago. I guess Hank McCoy and the Vision were helping Black Knight test out his ebony blade, and I guess they're saying it's growing stronger, and it's it's growing stronger because even the Vision can't phase through it now, I guess. And then Steve and you can tell it's months ago because Steve Rogers walks in with Sam Wilson, and they're all buddy. So yeah, but Black Knight calls Steve Cap, and he says, not anymore. He's like, just Steve now. And he goes, you'll always be Cap to me. I can't see calling you anything else. And Sam's like, hey, I'm right here, But I guess Steve was thinking of offering him a slot on an Avengers. I guess maybe it was the Uncanny Avengers, because he was talking about offering him a slot on an Avengers team. Yeah, but so yeah, back in the present, Steve's telling the Black Knight he has to answer for what he's done. Because they show back in another flashback. I guess the Uncanny Well, it looks like the Uncanny Avengers with the Black Knight and Vision. So I don't know why Vision quit them, but they went up against the, do you remember the Exemplars from Kurt Busiek's run on the Avengers? they're kind of like get their powers from the same source as the Juggernaut. So I guess the Uncanny Avengers were fighting them, and I guess what he has to answer for is he took one of them out with the ebony blade, stabbed them right through the chest. But the issue ends with Steve telling the Black Knight that, again, you got to answer for what you did, and he's like, I don't think so, and he basically they're surrounded by the Black Knight's army, his weird world army. There's like a bunch of different there's humanoids, there's some monkey looking guys. It looks like some remember the Toad Men from, what was that, way back in what was it, Incredible Hulk #2 or something? Yeah, it looks like some Toad Men, so.
Hey everybody, Rob here from Nuff Said. Sorry to interrupt Charlie and Phil, but if you haven't noticed, they had some technical difficulties. It isn't until this point that Charlie's microphone finally kicks on. Yes, it's a little confusing because he was kind of mid-sentence when it started to work, but I thought I would just cut it in right here. So, enjoy and listen to Nuff Said.
She makes a deal with Herc. She's going to scribe for him to find out about the rising storm, and he's going to go deal with some bad men she saw in a vision in the park. And she says, I saw them, and I saw myself dead. Go deal with them. And of course, he goes there, and very disappointing, it's centaurs, and Herc doesn't say centaurs. Why did it have to be centaurs? He does make the mention of, how he does dislike centaurs. He says, oh, that's just great when he sees them. And we see that it's the centaurs. For those who don't know, Herc has real bad blood with centaurs. One of the times he died, it was because of centaur. Centaur blood infected with hydrovenom. It was all very, very bad. Anyway, meanwhile, final scene, our after credits scene. Tiresias is doing her scrying when all of a sudden 3 beings appear. And the woman says, you saw so much once, Tiresias of Thebes, such a potent oracle. Then her and another say at the same time, but your gift is as spent as your eyes. You see the truth at last, far too late. The old generations pass and fall away. The new ones begin with us. The uprising is here. And then, So apparently there are these beings that are killing all of the old gods or the old mythological beings. I'm wondering who they are. I wonder, as I was saying, in the Evolutionary War, they had a whole bit there with these new gods, these beings that were chosen by these ancient elder forces, the gods above gods, I believe, to be like they were humans chosen from various points throughout human history to be the exemplars of various ideas of human existence. So I wonder if these are them being cast as the villains. They were usually heroes, although there was a god of war and god of death, etc. But I'm wondering if that's what we're looking at here. Big thumbs up for Hercules. I'm really liking the story. It's a little repetitive in the sense that this is kind of, the same basic plot as first issue. Herc, Gil, wacky bro comedy, then Herc has to fight an ancient demon, yada, yada, yada. We get Athena showing up and being kind of quiet all the time. We don't know what's up with Athena. So, but big thumbs up for Hercules, definitely staying on the pull list. Not so sure if that's going to be true for Deadpool soon. Anyway.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, well, I like Deadpool, but we'll get to that at Deadpool. Okay, moving on. The Marvel cross Gwenpool Holiday Special starring She-Hulk crossed out Gwenpool, Deadpool and Hawkeye crossed out Gwenpool, Ms. Marvel crossed out Gwenpool, and Gwenpool crossed out Gwenpool. We open with in the art style of the original of the last She-Hulk series. This is also written by Charles Soule, which I really like. Offering Angie, her paralegal, her gift, and she's like, "Oh, thank you, that's so sweet." And Angie says, "Here's what I got you. It's a magical file. It's a magical portfolio, and whenever you open it, whatever you desire most will be at the top. I've pre-stocked it with some important things. So basically, it's a bag of holding, but it's a folder of holding." for legal documents and apparently champagne and champagne glasses. Then She-Hulk takes away Angie's gifts and puts it away and says, "Oh, we will open that later." And they start having some champagne, and the party starts. Boom, boom, bump, 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 bump. As you may recall, She-Hulk is hanging out has offices in this really nice spot in Dumbo, Brooklyn, called the Idea Hive, and basically it's a place for superhumans and parahuman inventors who are basically starting new businesses and need a place that won't charge them exorbitant rents because the insurance on these places is just insane when you're a superhero. Meanwhile, in Jersey City, we find out that Kamala kind of not liking Christmas because, of course, she's Muslim, and only once every 15 years does Ramadan fall in December, and you really get to Christmas City up, and in the meantime, it's just another day. So it's not, you don't get to have Hanukkah in December, don't you get to have Tet in December, you don't get to have any of the wonderful holidays that everyone else gets to have during December. You're just sort of left in your normal day, in your normal life. And this makes Kamala a little sad. We find out that her brother, who, of course, is the studious Muslim beatnik who doesn't want a job. Yeah, I'm sure his father says it's good that as a cleric you don't have to shave because I think you're too lazy to do that. He doesn't say that, but he should say that at some point, or that might be a little too close to the bone, Yeah, no, her brother's a nice guy, but kind of a shiftless layabout religious hippie, and we all know those guys. Anyway, Ms. Marvel goes to the mall because her secret Santa or mystery Manta is Bruno, who we all know she has like really real feelings for, and they're always in this like, we can't be together because you're a superhero, but we both want to be together, but then now you're with someone else, but I've been too busy being a superhero. Teen trauma. Anyway, I love every minute of it. Meanwhile, back at the mall, a guy in a Santa suit who had been casing the joint comes in with his elven backup henchmen and try to rob the place. Of course, little do they know that this is Jersey City, which is Kamala Khan City. And of course, by the law of comic books, whatever bank you try to rob, the superhero happens to be there, or in this case, the mall. And so Kamala basically thwarts them quickly and then meets up with Captain Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, her best friend, whom she is like so fangirling on. But anyway, Captain Marvel gives her a gift, and it's like totally awesome, perfectly colored, properly Hulk hands, which she thinks are so awesome. And they all decide to go to She-Hulk's Christmas party because it's going to be a rager, they say. And she says, "I didn't get Bruno a gift, but that's okay. He didn't get me one either." But then we find out that no, he did. He got her a bag with a little crystal snowflake in it, and it says, "Get it? You're a special snowflake, Kamala. Love, Bruno." Oh, so sad. Those two, I don't know, man. Anyway, they have a whole point about embiggening and whether or not Kamala's heart has embiggened 3 sizes this day. Because she makes the point that, Christmas time is a time when, as a Muslim kid, she always felt very left out. It's very sad. Meanwhile, back at She-Hulk's office party, she finds out that the owner of her building, Sharon, who we get to meet, her lovely wife, who they have decided to sell the building. Oh no! They're going to turn into condos. They're going to turn into condos, as happens in Dumbo, and they make the point that it's making money, but not enough money. It's like hand to mouth every month and all this stuff. Meanwhile, so Angie takes a look at her and realizes she's been cast with a spell that will makes her focused on the now and not the wonder and joy of life. And they realize that the way to break the spell is she has to be focused on wonder and fun all night long, and then in the morning the spell should break because that helps the story. And so they decide to. So She-Hulk decides to call all of her superhero friends. And speaking of oh, you'll always be kept to me. We actually have a quick spin of She-Hulk's phone, and it says Cap parentheses Steve, Cap parentheses Sam, Cap parentheses Monica, Cap parentheses Carol, Cap parentheses Bucky. A lot of caps in the Marvel universe. Anyway, so she texts all her friends to come and party. And of course, who does she call? Who is the person who can get this party started and keep it going all night? Who do you think, Phil? Who do you call when you need a party to go all night long?
Gwenpool?
Oh, it's Patsy. It's Patsy. She wants to be your friend. Yes, Hellcat is there, and she says, hey, hey, hey. And she is ready to get the party started. Meanwhile, in Rockefeller Center, Hawkeye and Deadpool are posing as an elf and Santa because they're looking for a pickpocket because apparently someone stole Simone, who is a character in some story, her wallet. And so they find the pickpocket. They give chase. And, of course, they wind up with Hawkeye, Kate Bishop, in the subway as the guy tries to run away, although he doesn't catch the train in time. He gets caught. And they find out that he stole 13 wallets, so they have to take him and then take him to return all the wallets. And the guy says, come on, I didn't want to steal, because he's going to drop him up at the precinct and says, I didn't want to steal all the wallets, but, I had the urge. My kid really wanted me to have gifts. And so Deadpool goes and buys all the gifts the kid wants, and they take it and they bring him the Christmas gifts, and they say, we're sorry, we're going to have to send your dad on a secret Avengers mission for at least 8 months. And of course his wife is secret Avengers mission. And meanwhile, back at the party, so Kate and Hawkeye finally show up, and She-Hulk says, no Deadpool, no exceptions. I'm still not over what you did to my office. And he said, which time? And Wolverine's 13, actually. So something in Wolverine's 13 to She-Hulk's office that she is not happy about. So rather than abandon Deadpool, who they kind of had this fun night with, Kate and Hawkeye take Deadpool out to a diner where they go and have ham and eggs or something. I don't know. Very funny bit about whether or not Clint is actually deaf. And, this is an interesting thing. Got to reach out to Brian Cronin at Comic Book Resources as to whether or not Hawkeye is really deaf, because they've said that he is deaf and he's reading everyone's lips, but of course he's talking to Deadpool. You can't see Deadpool's lips, so he's obviously hearing what he's saying. Or maybe Hawkeye's just nodding and responding. You're never quite sure. Anyway, moving right along. So the party is going on. The party is happening. And the 3 lawyers who were there to have Sharon sign over the deeds, they realize they have to do something. And you know what these 3 lawyers are? Do you know what they are, Phil?
What?
They're there to ruin Christmas. What could they possibly be?
The Grinch?
No, they're bugs. And what do bugs do? They hum. Yes, the 3 humbugs begin to hum, which leaves this little green gas. And then you see old Steve, and he says, look at that, Tony, almost midnight. I think it's time I was heading home. Not as young as I used to be. And Tony says, literally, I'm with you, Steve. I've made my appearance, and other parties await. Jen will understand. Let's roll. I'll drop you on the way. And May says to Howard, enough is enough, Howard. Staying out all night partying is not good for you. A good night's rest is what you need. And he says, come on, May. And Kamala says, I'm going to get in trouble. I need to get home. Basically, everyone's leaving. And then Patsy says, my Hellcat powers are tingling. Someone is using magic. It's them, pointing at the humbugs. And then Patsy leaps at the humbugs, and then they give her the triple magic gas bug blast. And he goes, oh, what am I doing with my life? I think I need to go. And then and then She-Hulk gets mad. She's going to chase them, but they blast her with it. and she collapses down into her Jen Walters form. And then cut to the Gwenpool Holiday Adventure. We find out an important secret about Deadpool, about Gwenpool. So Gwenpool is in. This is, by the way, in case anyone didn't know, this is a $5.99 book. There's a lot of story to cover. Anyway, so Gwenpool is at a bar. She gets hired by this guy to kill Orto, the blade that loosed 1,000 souls. And she goes, oh, so he's a sword guy. Got to get a sword. So she goes. She's watching a tutorial on how to fight with swords, yada yada. She then shows up at Orto's office and starts spinning around with swords, and the 3 bodyguards are like, she's just spinning around with swords. Is this meant to hurt us? I think so. Miss, are you here to fight us? Can we help you? Miss, if you're here to fight us, we'll have to kill you. And then squirt. Her spinning with swords actually winds up stabbing all of them. Ha-ha, swords! I've got an appointment with Mr. Orto Sword Guy. I did stabbies on all his receptionists. And then it's like, I am Orto, and he's a giant blue snake man with swords. And this is the important thing. She says, Orto, my name is Gwenpool, Poole. I am the, and she says, and he says, Gwenpool, no E. What, your employer couldn't afford Deadpool? Ha 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 ha. So we actually realize that Gwenpool's name is actually Gwenpool, which means she's not an alternate universe Gwen Stacy. She's just Gwenpool, though she is from an alternate universe, which we'll get to later. Orto cuts her sword in half, so she starts to run because, got to run. And she gets to a sub-basement. She says, how the heck did I get here? And then Orto comes up and says, I suppose you want to talk now. And then we do a cutback. Remember when she was watching the tutorial on swords? Well, she said not to do this tutorial on swords, and she says, nope, and reaches up how to make a bomb. And Orto blows up. Then she goes, ha, 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 swords, cough, walks up, calls the guy and says, hey, I killed the sword guy. Wait, sorry, I mean, it's done. And that's amazing. Thank you. My brother's spirit can be at peace now. Totally. So about the compensation, I just PayPal'd it to you. Says, yeah, thank you. Bye. Dude. And then she says, psh, completely separate universe. Remember, because he had mentioned earlier about how all of her family was in a completely separate universe. Sad story, Gwen. But then she gets invited by Howard to She-Hulk's Ranger. Boom, 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 boom. And there she is talking to Ms. Marvel, and she says, well, you've never heard of this guy. And she says, and then I blew up the Snake Man, and I got so much money for it. And Ms. Marvel's like, I don't think that's cool. She says, well, you've never heard of this guy, right? He was probably made up specially for me to kill. And she says, what are you talking about? I mean, he was a real bad dude, and I stopped him very heroically. It was hard, but it was the right thing to do. Dude, you are blowing it with Ms. Marvel right now. It's okay. Want to check out the karaoke machine? Yes, I do. I never get to stay out this late in New York. I know. I've read all your books. It says, yeah, let's get you off the crazy talk and onto some pre-written lyrics. It's an amazing thing they're doing with Deadpool in the way that she does break that fourth wall, in a way that's way deeper, I think, than even Deadpool breaks it. Because she is just totally just like a fangirl who gets transported into the 616 and just starts telling everyone not only that they're fake, but, exactly. And, it makes this great perspective on the Deadpool concept of if you know you're fictional, if you think that everyone else is fictional, if you think that everyone has been created just for this story. Like she says, he was a villain. You never heard of him. He was probably created expressly for me to kill him. That's his only existence. He existed only so I could kill him. And it's such a fascinating take on that Deadpool mythos. Anyway, they go to talk. Meanwhile, the humbugs have worn down She-Hulk, which temporally does not make perfect sense because we just seen Kamala trying to leave. But anyway, then they make the point to her that they can see through all of her fail. They can see through to the reality. And she says, for example, your law practice is deep in the red. You couldn't afford to buy your long-suffering paralegal a real Christmas present. You got her a scented candle. A candle. She says, she likes magic and stuff. I thought, calm down, Ms. King. Miss King, Sharon King is the owner of the building. Enough is enough. It's time to sign. Yeah, you're probably right, she says. And then, of course, Angie saves the day, drops down the folder of holding and says, I love scented candles, Miss Walters. It was evergreen, for the holidays. My favorite. And she opens it up and she finds a mirror. Because, of course, you know what? The real threat is... I thought they were actually going to do a bit here about how the real threat isn't the She-Hulk, it's Jen Walters, the lawyer. They didn't go that way, though. Anyway, he says, hey, you guys like to get realistic, right? Try this on. Things can be worth more than just the money they make, especially this time of year. Happy holidays. And Marvel Boy is about to take off his headphones because he was doing the DJing, and she says, well, it looks like this party's dead. Time to pack it up. And she says, no. Hit it, Marvel Boy. And then they start the party back up. 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. Man, Kamala's going to be in so much trouble tomorrow. 5 a.m., 6 a.m. The sun is up. Well, sell this building. What the hell was I thinking? You were just don't even say it. And anyway, unrealistic is my middle name, says Sharon. Tears up the contrast. You think this is over? It's never over. We'll be back. We'll be back. And she says, yeah, well, so will I. I so hope someday that She-Hulk comes back in her own ongoing series. Actually, she will be in A-Force next week. Looking forward to it next week, kids. Anyway, the sun is rising. The party goes on because, as Patsy says, hey, I thought this was a She-Hulk party. And last time I heard, a She-Hulk party don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. Okay, and that is the Gwenpool She-Hulk Marvel Christmas Holiday Special. If you'd like to see more of our heroes, you can look at more Ms. Marvel. Go get Ms. Marvel 1. More Hawkeye. That Hawkeye thing we were just talking about. Deadpool. Howard the Duck, who's also in Gwenpool. Or actually, they say Gwenpool in Howard the Duck. And follow She-Hulk next month, A-Force. Yay! Oh, and that was the holiday special. $6, kid. One of the few times I'm ever going to say, Marvel, you charged me $6. It was worth it.
Wow.
Big thumbs up. Big thumbs up on Gwenpool.
All right. Well, then I will go to Spider-Man 2099 number 4. Did you take a look at this at all?
No, not really.
Okay.
Browsed Amazing Spider-Man to see if Otto was in it. He was not.
Well, Spider-Man 2099 number 4. Well, it starts in 2099. There's looks like some kind of cyborg, some big warrior leader. Then they flash to the present day. It's Roberta saying goodbye to her husband and child. Although when she walks out the door, the apartment looks pretty empty. So I don't know if she's imagining the husband and daughter. But she gets to work and she says good morning to Miguel and. Then she sees Captain America in her head, and Captain America says, that's weird, he was coming up from the basement. She goes, what's in the basement? Ask him. So Roberta finally says, what's in the basement? And Miguel says, why do you care? And she goes, I don't, just making conversation. He's like, it's my private lab, satisfied? And she's like, yes, absolutely. He's like, good. So he goes to his office to talk to his assistant, and Roberta's like talking to her boss, and who asks her if she's okay. She's like, yeah, fine. And Captain America tells her, wait 5 minutes and say you're going to the restroom. Head down to the basement. I want to see what's down there. And so, meanwhile, in his office, Miguel's talking to his assistant and asking him about the terrorist group, the Fist, he found out about last issue, and find out everything he can about him. And the assistant's like, why? What are you planning on doing? And Miguel's like, I'm just an assistant working for Parker Industries. He's like, I'm not Rambo. He's like, that's the name, right? Rambo? And the assistant's like, yeah, Rambo. He's like, yeah, that's not me. I just wanted to be informed. So, let's see. Then, so Roberta's going down in the elevator, and Captain America's talking to her, basically telling her, oh, I hate you. I wish I could slap that stupid look off your face, but I can't do that. Captain America's like, it's so frustrating. Tanya, Hawkeye, Iron Man. She's like, they're all gone. Alchemax is in its infancy, and she's like, the only one left is Miguel, and he looks right through me. Nothing makes any sense. So they have no idea what's going on, but they get down to the basement, and they get to the time vault door, and there's a there's a handprint pad on it, and Captain America tells Roberta, touch it, and she does, and the door starts to open. And then Miguel's upstairs trying to figure out why Alchemax is still trying to construct their prison. He's saying it doesn't, New York doesn't need 2 supervillain prisons. It doesn't make any sense. Until Lila informs him, starts buzzing him like that there's somebody's downstairs in the time vault. And then back down there, the cyborg comes through the door with Roberta until she bulks up, becomes Captain America, and they start fighting.
Oh, she becomes Captain America.
Yeah, well, she bulks up, and Captain America starts fighting the cyborg, and then upstairs, Lila's telling Miguel, she's like, Roberta Mendez has entered your private lab. He's like, what? She's like, she opened the time vault and allowed someone from 2099 to enter the present day. And he's like, what? And Lila's like, also, your lottery ticket you bought yesterday paid off $5,000. So he jumps in the elevator and he's going down, and Miguel's like, how did she open the vault? There's a security pad on it, keyed only to me. And Lila says, no, actually it's keyed to anyone who is from the year 2099. Those were your instructions. And he goes, right, yeah, in case I got cloned or something. He's like, but Roberta's not from 2099. And Lila's like, apparently she is. And I'm just like, well, wait a minute. What kind of keypad do you have that can sense what year someone's from?
Well, if we wanted to science it up, we could say that there's a certain period of evolution that occurs and beings from throughout history, and so that basically the DNA from 100 years in the future is going to have a certain properties that might be detected by super advanced technology. And that.
But yeah, I was thinking maybe there's some vaccination people in 2099 get that we don't get yet. I don't know.
Yeah, well, you know what the problem with that is? Is that basically in 70 years, everyone can go into this time portal. It was not a well thought out plan by Miguel. Because, if he got cloned, his DNA is going to be the same.
Exactly.
Or maybe it's a chronoton thing that he's, I don't know.
Who knows? But, so Captain America and...
I will mention I'm not reading this book because I felt the writing had a lot of holes. So...
But, Captain America and the cyborg are fighting. She tries to shoot him with his own gun, but it's booby trapped. No one else can use it but him. There's a clue to his identity, but the elevator comes down, and Miguel tells Lila to drop his holographic image, so I guess he's already wearing the suit. He goes, well, there goes my secret identity. He goes, although if I return this guy to 2099, it won't make a difference. So he's knocking him around, and then he looks at the cyborg. He's like, wait a minute, is this? And he figures out it's his old enemy from 2099, Venture. But since the timeline's all messed up, he's even more cyborg than he was before, because he says Venture, and the cyborg's like, who the shock is Venture? He's like, nah, you know what? I don't care. And he zaps Miguel, and he runs out the door, so... 2099 villains running around the present day now, people.
Yay!
And
and now he can open the door.
Yeah. Well, he was on the inside. I don't know if there was a lock on the inside, but
Oh, okay. I thought you said he was running around, so I thought maybe he escaped. So okay.
Yeah, but Captain America helps Miguel up, and he's like, "Who are you?" And she's like, "I'm Captain America." He's like, "You're really not. You're Roberta Mendez." He's like, wait a minute, what happened to you? He's like, you look like a bodybuilder now. And she's like, super soldier serum. That is the customary way someone becomes Captain America, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like, you're from 2099. She's like, yeah. And he's like, how did you get here? She's like, I have no idea. She's like, I just want to get back to my life and my time. And she's like, I'm hoping you'll help, but first we have to get that madman back before he kills someone. And that's where the issue ends with Adventure crossing the street. But
Bum, bum, bum. Oh, and now he can get into the thing because he's in the modern day and he's 2099. So, Miguel, you don't think things through. I think we've established this.
yeah,
I'm still waiting for the superhumanity tests to come back from that game show he was on. And
no,
just saying.
yeah, but I don't know, a couple plot holes, but it's still got a thumbs up for me.
Oh no, it sounds like it's a fun book. I'm debating putting it back up. I'll be honest with you. From your review, I'm thinking, well, I do like Roberta as Captain America. I like that character. That's kind of cool. I'd like to see some more of that. Now, what's interesting is that she sees herself from 2099, not necessarily Doom's world 2099. So that's always an interesting thing about these characters moving on from their past existences to their modern existences. So, Very cool. What was the next one you got there, Phil?
Well, it's another Spider-Man. It's Amazing Spider-Man #4.
Amazing Spider-Man #4. I did browse this one. I have some interesting thoughts that kind of threw me for a loop. So let's hear your thoughts.
All right. Well, it starts off with Scorpio. He has his I guess his fortune tellers telling him, now if you attack Shield now, you'll have the most success. If you wait, you're not going to succeed with Shield, but if you attack now, it's a rare opportunity because one of Shield's greatest allies will abandon them. He says, who? And they say, Spider-Man. And he says, okay. He's like, well, it's time. Let's go. So then we see Nick Fury talking to Peter and Mockingbird are flying over Madagascar until Peter gets a call from Aunt May, which he puts Nick Fury on hold. And so he uses a holographic thing to give himself, he says, a Steve Jobs turtleneck combo.
Oh, wait, real quick question.
Huh.
Is Aunt May still married?
Yes.
Okay, because you know what? This was something that kind of bugged me in the Gwenpool story. When they get the party back started, they have a whole scene with old Steve and Aunt May dancing together. I was thinking, Steve, that's a married woman. That way, I don't know what. Maybe Aunt May has changed since they rebooted the universe, but no. So Steve is, because we all know Steve's a dog, woman in every port. So you know what? I don't think a little thing like being married to someone's going to stop old horn dog Steve Rogers. So back to your story.
All right. Well, yeah. Aunt May calls Peter. She's like, "Oh, me and Jay are still in Nadua." And I guess they're helping they're helping provide free power to everyone. They're putting up solar panels. That is till they get attacked by a bunch of goblins.
Goblins.
So Peter's like, I gotta go. He's like, I have to save Aunt May. And Mockingbird's like, I can't let you do that. And he's like, no, that's it. And she's like, she goes, no, I'm taking control of the ship. Which is when Peter hits the ejector seat. But I guess she has some kind of like holographic, almost like the wings the Falcon has.
Yeah. I've noticed that they decided to give Mockingbird wings finally.
Yeah. Well,
I'm fine with the text in the universe. It makes you kind of wonder like why Mockingbird hasn't had wings up until this point.
She has bird in her name.
Yeah, exactly. It's like maybe someone should have given you wings. It's just saying.
So yeah, back in Africa, the goblins are coming in. Goblins dressed in like military uniforms. They're swooping in and they're about to take out Aunt May until Peter shows up and starts blasting them with the web cannons that are on the ship he's flying. Let's see.
I hate Bat Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, I know. Until he crashes the ship, and he said the web foam airbags need more testing.
I sure hope he has some bat shark repellent or some spider shark repellent in there somewhere.
But I'm surprised you weren't tempted to pick this up because they show Shield's attack on Zodiac, and it looks like you got Coulson and I think that's supposed to be May in there. But they also got the Human Torch and Prowler helping them.
Yeah. Well, I only briefly viewed it, so I didn't. And if they don't have any lines, if they don't get a "Hi, I'm Agent Coulson, and this is May, and we're fighting bad guys," I probably wouldn't have realized who that was. So, yeah.
Yeah, but it seems like a lot of the Zodiac bases are just they're fake. They almost look like movie sets or something. So they're like, what's going on?
They're being played.
Yeah. But yeah, so they're back in Africa. Spider-Man's fighting the goblins, and he's like, "Are you guys soldiers or mercs?" He's like, "Because if you're for hire, I'll pay you top dollar to switch sides."
That doesn't actually work. I mean, if you think
Yeah.
about it from a business perspective, once you take a job, you have to finish that job, even if that person offers you more money. Yeah, but if you're living that kind of lifestyle where you're doing these gigs, you're never going to get another gig, and then someone else is going to hire someone to kill you, and it's just, it's a mess. No, you take a job, you do the job. That's just good business sense.
But yeah, so then Mockingbird shows up to help, and while she's distracting the goblins, Peter rigs up the solar panels so they shoot off some kind of electrical charge that I guess takes out all the goblins' gliders and everything. And then Spider-Man's checking on Aunt May. I guess they're still pretending that she doesn't know Peter's Spider-Man, because she's like, tell Peter we're grateful he sent you to help, and she's like, because Aunt May is like, "Oh, tell Peter I'm so thankful that he sent you to help his silly old aunt," and he's like, the way Peter tells it, you're not his aunt, you're more like his mom because you raised him, and the way he tells it, he'd stop the whole world for you. So
Yeah.
it's like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? She's humoring the poor boy. He's clearly touched in the head. Uncle Ben's death was hard on him, and if it makes him feel better to just put on the pajamas and run around and be a superhero, you know what? She supports him in his lifestyle choices. Maybe it's not a choice. She doesn't know what makes you a superhero. It's not for an old woman like her to decide. She loves her nephew no matter what. So, and if this makes him happy, okay. I support you. If you want me to call you Spider-Man, I'm going to call you Spider-Man. If you wanted me to call you Doris, I'd call you Doris. It's not a difference, I love you because you're my nephew and in many ways my son. Aunt May is such a great guy, great person. It's no wonder she's taken Howard under her wing as well.
But yeah, so Spider-Man's telling the village chief, we'll get the solar panels back up, and he's like, no, and Peter's like, no, and he's like, no, he's like, if you start this back up, the general's gonna come after us, and the goblins, and are you gonna be here 24/7 to say, protect us? If that in that case, no, thank you. But later they show the chief's on a call with someone. He says, he's like, my village doesn't have much, but all the equipment that they left behind. He's like, can that buy us protection from the goblins and the enemy forces? And of course they showed he's talking to a bandaged up Norman Osborn. And so he goes, oh yeah, I'm very familiar with that technology, meaning the goblins' gliders. He says, you could say knowing how it works is my business, and business is booming. But the issue ends with they show the Lizard in prison in upstate New York.
Yes, this was what I saw.
Okay, and he gets visited by the guy in the red suit, just like the Rhino was.
And which tells us that the guy in the red suit isn't Norman Osborn. They thought, they're not showing you his face. Maybe that's because that's Norman Osborn. So no.
But remember it? Yeah, remember how he told the Rhino he'd give him back his dead wife? Yeah. The guy in the red suit tells the Lizard that who has Kurt Connor's brain now. He tells him he's like, I can make anything real. So he give him his wife and son back.
No, so that wasn't actually Kurt Connor's wife and son. They weren't. They actually were dead.
Well, the guy in the red suit says, Dr. Connors, you have abilities that can help me. He's like, if you were to break out of here and join me, I could make anything real. I could give you all you've ever wanted. So, I don't know. That kind of makes me Yeah, they're supposed to be dead, I think, so...
Okay, no, because that that opens up we know for people that can easily bring people back from the dead, you've got characters like Mephisto, which would make sense in the fact that, maybe he's feeling cheated by Parker's deals, that the deal he made with Parker, maybe he feels he's got that there's some bad blood between them right now.
Yeah.
So, that's a guy in a red suit.
Reverse one more day. Reverse one more day.
Yeah. Well, they're moving. Well, no, they can't reverse one more day because right now, Mary Jane's we're making time with Tony. So
Oh.
Yeah. Honestly, cuter couple.
But yeah, I give it a thumbs up.
Yeah. It sounds nice, but no Otto, no Amazing Spider-Man. Sorry, kids. Although I almost picked up Spidey for my kids. I was tempted. I might throw that into the kids file next week. But we'll talk about that more later. Okay, now we're on to the stuff we both read.
Yes.
So do you want to open with, do you want to do numerical order? Do our number 2, then our number 3s, then our number 8?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so starting off with Ultimates number 2. This was, I have to say this was on my first initial reading, I have to say this is kind of my pick of the week. This was one that kind of blew me away from start to finish. Just a really great presentation of the characters. I love the story device at the opening, where they're basically because we actually aren't going to be like these other Avengers. We actually believe in transparency and and openness. We're putting this on the web, so here's everything that we're doing right now. And T'Challa doing the transport thing, and his skates says, "Do not question the king," and she says, "On the contrary, Nika, in a world of mental possession, trans-temporal duplication, or simple human error, questions must be asked, and even a king must answer." Really building up our T'Challa here as we go forward into his big opening reveal in our in Civil War coming up. Everyone's going to see the Black Panther coming soon to a theater near you. He does the trans-temporal location, which essentially forces his mind's eye open. We're going to discuss that a bit when we talk in superconnectivity a bit. And of course, first he sees his father and his past and the demons that haunt him. His father feeling that he is not, his father says, "You have no country, you have no people, you are not my son, you are, which is, very prominently, but he has to focus. And then we get a nice little retcon of Galactus's origin. And it's not necessarily a differentiation on his origin per se. Maybe there's more details provided, but basically you have Galen in the death of the last universe, the Universe 6. They're going to go into the beyond, and we get this difference in the story, which is that after that, his ship Ta, he's in the cosmic egg, he's growing, but then essentially because cosmic wars have grown up between him, he is awoken too early, and part of his early awakening is that he hungers, which leads us to the next stage, and Galactus is like, "You ants, I am what I am, I must be who I am, you cannot, I am beyond you, yada, yada, yada." And then they decide they're going to put him back in the cosmic egg, which America Chavez and the Spectrum have stolen. Have reclaimed from a guy who was using it to be a psychic dictator on his planet. They basically do this big, quick push. They know they can't beat Galactus, but they just need him to step backwards, fall in, and then they hype up the power charge with the new Newtonium cosmic cube, supercharge him, fast bake him, which, I'm sure that's not going to cause any problems down the road, kids. And then we get that he awakens and he goes to the first world he destroys and he gives it new life. Galactus, we're talking. This is I Know That All Is Well. Marvel Comics presents the... Oh, did I lose you? No, okay. Marvel Comics presents the Ultimates in Lifebringer. And, wow. I mean, it was a really good book. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm loving this team. I mean, I guess, I'll be honest with you, and I'm kind of interested when we get next week with the Squadron Supreme. It's gonna be interesting. I can't wait to see the Ultimates versus Squadron Supreme because I can see these parallels in their books in this idea of solving big problems, and of course Squadron Supreme maybe approaching things in a much more punchy way, and the Ultimates in a much more intellectual way. But yeah, I really love this book. This was definitely at least one of my picks of the week. I gotta say this is probably my pick of the week. Followed closely by the Gwenpool Christmas special. But this is actually probably much more my pick of the week because it's much more traditional as a story. One of these things where it just hits every note that you want it to hit. What did you think, Phil?
Oh yeah, definitely thumbs up. This is my pick of the week. No question, no doubt. Yeah.
I think
really
Ultimates was a pick last week too, or the last month too. So I think Ultimates is definitely a real winning book for us.
Oh yeah, it's got to be one of the top books that, especially between the two of us. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I had a thought today. Just the nature of the team. It's like you have one white female and then the rest of the team is African American. Do you think?
Well, there's also a Hispanic American in America.
Okay. But what I'm saying is, do you think this team is like kind of like the anti-Illuminati? Because remember we were talking about all the old white guys.
Well, in many ways, yes, it absolutely is the anti-Illuminati. Oh, and in every sense of the term, it's kind of really what it is it's the bizarro Illuminati. It is not just the anti-Illuminati; they are the opposite. The Illuminati works in secret; the Ultimates work in public. Which, of course, it's an interesting going back to the Illuminati story. Black Panther was offered a seat at the table on the original Illuminati, and Black Panther refused. He said, "Look, I am a king of a country. I can't be involved in secret conspiracies. You people leave my country, and I'm not going to play your little games. I have a people to worry about." And now he is part of the Ultimates, but he's also being open. He's saying, "I am the king of Wakanda, and we are the greatest nation on earth, the greatest, most wonderful, perfect nation on God's green earth, on Panther God's green earth, of course, is Wakanda." And, he is leading this team to do great things, much in the way the Illuminati did, but rather than being apart from, doing this in secret, doing this with duplicity and lies, he's doing this openly because you can't be afraid of the truth. This, I think, is, when you talk about the old white men and you talk about, patriarchy as an idea, there was always this idea of, well, we're the old white men. The rest of the world doesn't need to know these things because it's just too much for them to deal with. People are happier if they don't know the truth. And there is a valid argument in people are happier if they don't know the truth. But just because they're happier doesn't mean it's better. That it's better to be depressed by the reality of the world, but at least you can do something about it, than to dance blithely as the floods are coming. As they say in the time of Noah, all were, eating their chicken and drinking their wine and indulging in their carnal desires, and someone could have told them, hey, this is not going to work for us. The floods are coming. But of course, people didn't want that. And perhaps old white men said, people don't want to know what's going on. People don't want to know that things aren't going as well as we're pretending. But the anti-Illuminati of the Ultimates are basically saying, no, you deserve to know this is the truth. We're going to do what we can, and hopefully it all works out. And I'm intrigued by the new Galactus the Life Giver. I wonder if this is going to cause a problem in the universe because, of course, it is the, within the universe, Galactus was the third force, and the third force was what brings balance to between life and death. Was Galactus? He was death, but he was also life. He was a thing that maintained existence through the destruction of other things. Now Galactus, as the life giver, bringing life to things that once were dead, does that give more power to the life force, and does that throw the universe out of whack? As we just saw in Deadpool versus Thanos, and previously in Secret Wars #2, issue, I want to say 4 or 3. I want to say 3. No, probably 4. When the Beyonder kills the living embodiment of death, and that likewise causes everything to go to heck in a handbasket. So yeah, Ultimates #2, second book out of the box, doing some pretty hard, heavy moving of the universe, and I'm loving every minute of it. And I hope they can maintain this. I look at it. It's one of these things where it's like, wow. It's sort of like one of my problems with the ways that they have done Deadpool in the past, where they've really kind of pulled back the veil and stepped into this other universe and stepped into this other reality, and it's really great and really brings the story into this deeper understanding. But I realize that can be hard to do for an ongoing. That's something you can do. You can do that once every couple of issues. Maybe you can, go there, but really you want to do that every issue, and it's going to start to become redundant and meaningless. And so I am excited and a little bit trepidatious, because you should always be trepidatious when you're excited about issue 3, but so far the Ultimates have been doing really good. Moving right along.
All right, so we got 3 number 3s. Which one do you want to do next?
Well, the one on the top of my pile is Guardians. What's on the top of your pile?
Well, I can easily grab Guardians. There's Guardians.
Okay, so we'll do Guardians then. Okay, let's see. What did you think of this book?
I liked it. I liked it better than the previous issue. Yeah, remember I said I thought the last issue was kind of like slow and not much happened. I did like this one a little more.
You see, now to me, I kind of felt this episode was fast and not much happened. So we get Yotat in this, and I remember Yotat was in the Guardians Secret Wars subplot, although I think I stopped reading that one, and so I don't really know if Yotat was new to that book, if Yotat has existed previously. But here he is, and he's after Drax, as he was in the last time I saw him. Kills a guy and then goes to find him. We see that, we see that Quill is stuck in a spaceship with apparently designed with no communication equipment because it helps the story. Meanwhile, Hala's taking on people and blowing up a planet. Sure, why not? Meanwhile, all of our Guardians are sort of getting themselves together, deciding what to do. The Thing says, yeah, I'll punch her, you guys run and find Quill, yada yada. And Gamora says, no, I will do the punching because I'm pissed at her. And so they go, and the fight ensues, and the Guardians escape, and they free Quill, I guess, maybe? Yeah, so it looks like they rescue Quill, and then they escape. What do you want to hop on?
No, was that Quill they got? I don't know. I thought that it was Flash Thompson, maybe.
Well, I see... Well, no, because I see Hala cutting the escape pod in half, and I see no Quill, and then we see the ship, the Milano flying off, so I'm guessing they got him. And she's my prize, Yes, so, very interesting. It looks like Gamora got knocked out again, because, I don't think they're killing Gamora. She's got another movie to do. Yeah. Decent issue. Good. Right now I'm in this spot where I've got so many books for me, and I've really got to start making my hard choices. And Just having Thing. I don't know if it's going to be enough to keep me. It's exciting. It's definitely a good book. There's nothing. I can't say anything bad about this book, but sometimes you got to ask: Am I getting? Is the story just exciting to read, or is it giving me something that's making me go, "Oh wow, that was a good story," And also, I didn't get the cover because you got like Gamora with a knife to Drax's throat, which okay.
Yeah.
I know covers don't necessarily have anything to do with what's in the book, but I guess when I was looking at it, because I did the preview and they go to preview to Yotat, I'm like, wait, is this like because they also have the Guardians of the Galaxy book for the cartoon. I was like, wait, which Guardians of the Galaxy book is this? Because it's like I don't recognize any of this story. They're doing the Yotat. I did like the idea that Yotat is like, oh, I'm going to ship myself with Hala because she's blowing up a planet. That could be my life mate. And it's like, okay, yeah. But generally speaking, I'm not going to give it a thumbs down. It's a good book, thumbs up on it. But yeah, I guess I you know what. Right now, Marvel is doing so many really good books that, you want to be a Marvel book, you got to step it up a bit. It can't just be all bitch and bang, man. I got to get some depth. I'm not dropping it by any means. It's definitely going to issue 3, but we'll see where that goes next. And speaking of issue 3 or issue 4, but speaking of issue 3s, that maybe on a level. You want to go to Deadpool?
That's fine.
So, what do you give me your thoughts on Deadpool first?
It's all right, but I could see what you're having. You're having trouble. It's like, I don't know. It's not like Deadpool. I mean, he really doesn't seem to be breaking the fourth wall. The humor, I don't know. I've never thought he was at his funniest with under this writer, was it Jerry Duggan? But did you see in January we're getting a Spider-Man Deadpool team-up book?
Yeah, that might be interesting.
Oh yeah, it's by Joe Kelly. He wrote Deadpool's first ongoing back in the late '90s. Oh, trust me, you'll laugh out loud at that book.
I'm looking forward to it. I mean, there were a lot of things I liked about this. I did like seeing all the characters and their relationships. I kind of really enjoyed because they really drew Steve the way he's supposed to look right now, which is old and skinny and not a tough guy. Although he does because of course let's face it, Cap is a ninja. Cap has ninja training, and he does the whole crack finger thing. The old master on Madcap. And that's kind of, and I really like Slapstick's whole scene there with the prostitute and the woman he hired, the person he hired to be his son and the woman he hired to be his wife, and it was actually kind of sweet. And they make a whole thing about that he's got the thing no pants problem, which is I mean, that I think was kind of one of the most beautiful things in it. And then, everyone's paycheck's bouncing, so we're all going to go. I'm kind of interested in where it's going. I'm kind of taken aback by the Lizard Man. I don't know who this orange guy is.
I don't know if they're going to go the route with a couple years back they had a story where a bunch of Deadpool's severed limbs kind of regenerated themselves into an evil version of him.
Yes, I do remember that. I do remember that storyline. And that's what I was thinking it was, but I don't think they were orange. I don't think they looked. I mean, that looked that looked something different. And then he finds Adsit's body. I'm assuming he's dead, but you never know. They might be nearly dead, almost dead. And also it's interesting. I mean, there's a lot of mystery in here. He makes the point about maybe it was better when I had another voice in my head. And they had mentioned earlier that Madcap used to be that other voice in in his head. That Madcap just showed up. And I'm wondering if that's going to be a thing here, or is that maybe there were a bunch of other Deadpools? Because, of course, we're coming from Doom's world. We do know there were other Deadpools on Doom's world, because we did see an 1872 Deadpool. And I'm wondering if maybe that's sort of this idea that, the Deadpool and the Deadpool Corps have a bunch of other Deadpools, and that, Deadpool is 616 Deadpool isn't alone, and that some of these other Deadpools maybe resent the fact that he's Deadpool Prime or something like that. I mean, it's I know there's a story here that I'm interested in. It's just it comes down to comes down to that question. When you're $4 a book, how many books are we going to buy? And do I want to wait for this story to resolve? Do I want to wait to get to where they're going to go with this, or am I just going to say, you know what? I'll check it out later. I'll let Phil review Deadpool.
Plus they're giving all the other guys, all the other Deadpools, so much story time, but they're getting their own miniseries, so you really don't have to spend all this time on their backstories and stuff,
Yeah. Well, it's. But again, like I said, I kind of felt that in many ways, all the side characters' backstories were actually kind of something that was working with it.
Yeah.
I liked how everyone had like a weird relationship going on. The Terror and Morbius, which was kind of interesting. Everyone has a girlfriend, but the Terror has Morbius. And Stingray with apparently his girlfriend, who's like totally cool with everything, and and I guess that then Madcap, and then what was it, Solo with his girlfriend, and I guess Fool Killer trying to buy the guns, and the guy's like, no, you're check bounced. So, it's interesting, and there are reasons to stay, and I may well do so. I'm just. It's time to make the hard choices. That's my sleep. It's a thumbs up, but we're getting to the point where just being a thumbs up isn't enough anymore. Mm-hmm. And let's do you want to do Uncanny Avengers before going on to Secret Wars number 8?
Oh yeah, if we follow our pattern of threes, yeah.
Okay. the drawing of the 3. Okay, Uncanny Avengers. Well, we open up with of course, Quicksilver talking about he totally destroyed that Raggedy Man, and Dr. Voodoo's like, don't mean to tell you this, don't want to burst your bubble, Quicksilver, but you're dead. And then we cut to Deadpool giving Quicksilver mouth to mouth, and he's like, Voodoo, thanks for the moral support, because of course he was just saying it, but really Voodoo was the one saving the day. The Bostonians don't want to hang out with don't want to be quarantined, but of course we've got to quarantine. And then Gable arrives and kills a bunch of veggie dogs, and they get into an argument about who should be in charge, and Rogue says, maybe the time-traveling Merc from the future is the reason why we failed, so maybe we shouldn't be listening to you, but they basically all agree to work together to solve the problem. They take the synthesized toxin to MIT, and then Synapse finds out that she's resistant to the spores, and then she confronts the Raggedy Man, who, as it turns out, is her own grandfather. Dun, dun, dun. Yes. A little, I get that there's a logic to it. If the through line of genomes that gave her powers follows, it's entirely probable that someone else in her family, and possibly her grandfather, was a potential inhuman as well. But
Don't think too hard on it.
Yeah, well, it's like, okay. But you know what? The fact that hero and villain are related is not the biggest worry in any comic book, because that's, it happens. My dad's a supervillain. It happens. But generally speaking, a thumbs up on the book. It was fast and furious and fun. As I was saying, it kind of seems like the Uncanny Avengers is like the Avengers team right now in the Marvel Universe. Although someone says, "Hey, you ain't the Avengers. Where's Iron Man?" It's interesting. Of course, at this point, Iron Man hasn't formed his Avengers yet, because they're still the guys who aren't the Avengers assemble, and we'll have to see what they do in issue 3. But thumbs up. No real thumbs down this week. And any softness on any book has less to do with the quality of the book and just its relative position on the distribution calendar. It's like, this is the books that came out this week. As I have to pick my 5, is this going to be one of my 5? Because I can't do 8 books every week. And Marvel tried to scam me next week, but I good thing I did some research on that.
Well, it doesn't help. It doesn't help when stuff's late. Like our final book was I don't know how late, and I know this week it's like, it used to be Amazing Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2099 were coming out on the same week. So what's going on this week?
Yeah. Anyway, so moving on to Secret Wars number 8. Or do you have anything to say about Uncanny Avengers?
No, I just it was a thumbs up for me. I just wish we could have seen some more humor from Deadpool, but no, it was a good issue.
Yeah, well, I think he had his moments. There's a lot of people in this book. You got to give everyone their scene. I think, maybe that's one of the problems in the Deadpool book is that there's a lot of
too
many people, and it's like, how do we? Here's what I'll tell you. Fantastic Four, that's the right number. 4 people. You can do good stories with 4 people because you can pair them up, you can split them off, but it never becomes overwhelming. You get past like 4 or 5 people, I think that the stories tend to get bogged down by trying to give everyone a story, And so, I mean, you think of the original Avengers. You've got Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, and then Ant-Man and the Wasp, which are they're a team, so they're kind of one group, And and so you got that 4 to 5 group. And that's really where you want to be. That's where you can really give everyone a good story. Go beyond that, it's getting a little rough. And speaking of too many characters in the book, no, actually, this was I thought this was a great book. What did you think?
Yeah, I thought it was a great book. I wonder what they changed, because remember it was originally supposed to be 8 issues, and then they expanded it to 9.
Well, obviously 9's where we get all the resolutions, because this is like halfway through the battle.
Yeah, I know. So I was like, wait a minute. So what did they change that this was going to be the final book?
Well, basically what it is they realized, we got like 20 more pages, and they said, well, we could do the last issue as like a big double-sized issue, or we can go to January. And they said, let's go into January, And I don't know what made them make that decision. I guess maybe, and honestly, they may just want to have a separate book because they still need to work on it, I'm not 100% certain. But, excuse me, no explanation for the Maestro, and that bugs me. Because we had the Maestro's story, and the Maestro's story ended, and now he's back, which is neat and interesting, and he certainly serves a purpose in this story, although exactly what is limited, except that, here's another big bad. But he doesn't, we don't know what separates. We don't, we see that again, he's coming for God. He's ready. He says, after I kill everyone else, I'm going to go get you, Doom, which of course doesn't make a lot of sense per se, because one could argue, well, wouldn't it be more practical for everyone, now that everyone's ganging up on Doom, for him to be going with Doom rather than supporting Doom in this moment, and then saying, "And when I'm done killing everyone else, I'm going to kill you, Doom." I mean, that's a little weird. And of course, then giant Ben Grimm basically smashes everything, and then gets into a fight with Galactus. And this was actually a pretty sweet moment when he realizes he's fighting Franklin. He's like, "I'm not going to fight you, Franklin."
Yeah.
And Franklin basically uses Galactus to blast him, and that's pretty tragic. And although I have to say, how about Peter Quill and his toothpick?
I dropped the Groot bomb.
Yeah, I am Groot. And although I will say this, because you always love when someone does not realize how freaking deep they are in it. When with the Doom and Thanos confrontation, and he's
oh, jeez.
Yeah, and he's like, do you have an Infinity Gauntlet now? This I do not, yet I remain Thanos, the great tyrant, and for you that will be enough. And it says that appears untrue. As he removes Thanos' skeleton. Yeah. Says, Annihilus, I'm gonna let you live, but clean up this mess. But then, of course, the Siege Perilous opens, and here comes Glory and Honor, Brains, the King of the Dead has arrived with his army of the dead. And your reign is over, and it ends with us, says Namor and T'Challa with the Infinity Gauntlet. Because, hey, you know who has an Infinity Gauntlet, Doom? It was very interesting. And one of the things I liked about this is like Sue saying, Doom, why are you letting this play out? You dismissed all this before. And of course, what I think is, Doom can't. Doom's powers have real limitations. And I think he's at the end of those powers. I think that's what this is all about, is he does not have the ability to really, as people have said, he's not the god he pretends to be. And, I'm looking forward to next issue. I love that cover with this fractured world and Doom and Reed in that last battle royale. Because I really want to see what happens to Reed. Because we know what happens to Doom. He comes back with a fixed face. And that's fine, but where's Reed?
Reed, Sue, and the kids.
Reed, Sue, and the kids, yeah. Very good, very good. Big thumbs up on Secret Wars 8. We didn't get as many reveals as I would like, but man, you don't even notice them as the goes. And man, that group, that was pretty awesome. Not just a group bomb, but essentially puts Groot into the world tree, which essentially makes him Groot God. And so this is. And I do like the let's not make this and I told you. And what's funny about that scene, because of course, Peter Quill, as the Reeds leave and they're like, fix the ship, Quill. It's like, okay, you Reeds go, I'll fix the ship. The two smartest men on the planet gonna go and do what they're gonna do. Gonna go punch people. Well, me, the space jockey's gonna fix the ship. But no problem, I can do it. And then, of course, and the Black Swan fights with him, yada, yada, yada. And he's like, I warned you. And then he's like, say hello to my little friend. And it was fantastic. It was a great reveal, a great moment. And, I gotta wonder a bit about him always keeping Groot in his mouth. I think that's going to be some awkward conversations later. But big thumbs up, big thumbs up.
All right. Well, extra long episode this week.
Yeah, Marvel wrote a lot of books.
Oh, I know. All right. Is that it then?
Hey, I only brought 2, man. You're the one with like 4 extra books.
I know. All right, everyone. Tell us what you thought about everything, including the kitchen sink. You could email us, marvelroundup@gmail.com. On Twitter, we're at Marvel_Roundup, and we're on Facebook, All New Marvel Roundup. Send us, your thoughts and opinions, anything, any books we aren't reading we should be reading, And get your last minute ideas in for the big Marvel vs. DC special with Charlie vs. Lilith coming soon. And you can talk anything Marvel and DC with me, nightwingpdp@gmail.com, and on Twitter I'm at nightwingpdp. Charlie?
Okay, and I am at Charlie Esser on Twitter, CharlieEsser, 2 E's in the middle for quality. You can always write to me at the Superconnectivity blog at gmail.com. Catch me later in the week on Superconnectivity with the great Phil Parrish. Listen to that Marvel vs. DC podcast with me and Lilith. And you can also now listen to me on the Gamma Cast.
I wanted to mention that.
A lot of fun all around. Come and join me, won't you?
First episode was great.
It's not on Stitcher yet, though. Grr.
It's coming.
I know.
All right. Well, that's it. Come back next week, everyone. It'll be a way lighter week for me. A lot more breathing room, and just remember, everyone, be kind to each other, and remember, be the group bomb of your own story. Good night.